we have to talk about Casey Mittelstadt. All right. Who had 6 games? Who had 6 games into the Marco Sturm tenure that we would start scratching Casey Mittelstadt? Healthy scratch against Utah on Sunday night. I have said I've said it plenty of times, man. He's mostly just out there getting cardio. Like, he doesn't create anything for you offensively. He doesn't drive plays. Sometimes he scores goals, which is why he was on my high of week 1 when he scored 2 goals. But he gives you nothing defensively. And I was worried about how that would fit into Marco Sturm and trying to be this ultra defensive guy and trying to win games 2-1. Casey Mittelstadt just doesn't fit that. And we could rip him all day long, but what Craig Button said about Casey Mittelstadt this week is so alarming and so damning and, in a way, very morbidly funny.
There's such a lack of centers. Can Casey Mittelstadt be one of those guys?
Well, I don't think he can be a number 2 center. I think that the Colorado Avalanche made a horrific trade moving Bowen Byram. They were trying to replace Nazem Kadri. I get what they were trying to do. Casey Mittelstadt was not the right guy. Now, I'm going to be really straightforward. I've watched Casey for a long time. I don't think it's about Casey lacking skill. I think it's about Casey lacking competitive spirit. So if you want a player with a little bit of skill that can tease you a little bit, that doesn't compete, Casey's your guy. If you're interested in winning, and the Boston Bruins are interested in winning, the Colorado Avalanche are interested in winning, I'm not going anywhere near Casey Mittelstadt.
Holy shit, Dan. Holy shit. Look, like, Craig Button's a good journalist and everything, but and so he's going to keep it real. But when you hear that, that's like, wow. That's about as scathing a review as you'll hear from about a player.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from that was, if you want to lose and you want players that don't care, Casey Mittelstadt's your guy. That's what I got from that. Seems like something personal was there. I'm not sure the history there.
Honestly, like, is there something with Craig Button's wife and Casey Mittelstadt? Like, what was that, man?
I don't know. It was a bad week for Casey Mittelstadt, getting benched and then getting called out on TV like that. But, that gives him some bulletin board material. If he wants to motivate himself, we'll kind of see what he's made of. If I was a player, I would look at that. I'd be listening to that a couple times and be like, you know what? I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Will he do that? Who knows? But
yeah, that's going to be my next question.
Tough week for Mittelstadt on the ice and off the ice.
Like, this is a guy he was picked in the top 10 and had already been something of a bust, right? Even before the Colorado trade, but he's making some money. So I don't know. I don't know how much that motivates a guy that he hasn't panned out to what he wants to be. I don't know if this Craig Button thing makes much of a difference in his world. I hope it does, but I don't know.
Hey, I'm not sure too. Like, he started his career off with Buffalo. That's where he was for 5-6 years. Did Buffalo just ruin his motivation to play defense and play motivated? Crazy look back. 2 years ago, this guy.
I was just gonna say, it didn't do it to Jack Eichel or
no.
Some of these other guys, Ryan O'Reilly. So but maybe it did. Maybe the Buffalo experience just fucking ruins you like that.
And it's crazy to think 2 years ago, this guy was traded for Bowen Byram, who's a pretty good player in the league, and then he was just kind of a throw-in for he was a salary dump for a Charlie Coyle trade. So it's been a crazy 2 years for him. Coming into the year, I think a lot of people didn't like his contract and they were concerned about everything that we've seen so far. But if you're a Bruins fan and you don't want him on this team anymore, you got to hope he does start playing well, because no team's going to want to take that contract. So
it might be the worst contract on the team. Like, he's got another year after this. Yeah, he's got another year after this at 5.75. That's $1 million more than Zacha's getting paid. And he's not Pavel Zacha, man. Like, this could be the worst contract on the whole team.
Yeah, I would say last year everyone hated the Zadorov and the Lindholm contracts, who, that still has a lot of term left.
Salo?
Yeah, Korpisalo. There's a lot of candidates we could talk about.
Yep.
But Yeah, I'd say right now it probably is. Lindholm has been playing better. Zadorov could be your best player on the team right now through 2 weeks. Korpisalo is making big time saves. The only positive from this is the term. It only one more year left, but that still is a big chunk of change. If this free agent class, there has been some free agent signings. A lot of big names are off the board now, but an extra $6 million in free agency this offseason could go a long way. There's still they're restricted or unrestricted. You can make a good trade for someone if you get rid of that contract. So right now, I'm hoping Mittelstadt takes that benching well. He listens to that clip and is like, you know what, I'm gonna play better. And if he doesn't like playing here, he should want to play himself out of here and get traded at the deadline. But
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
don't know. I don't know what that deal entails. Like, you're gonna have to eat salary or attach a good player to it, like a good player. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone's touching that. And maybe this is the Craig Button swaying me, but I don't know if anyone's touching that. And he's stuck. He's the second center. He's not good enough to be a first line center, even offensively, but doesn't do any of the defensive responsibilities to really be a center at all in this league. And you're not going to bury him on the fourth line, really, because that fourth line's going well right now. You're not putting him on the third line because you want Fraser Mitten to develop. Maybe there's a case of, hey, move Fraser Mitten up the lineup, but you also want your third line to be the matchup line, and Fraser Mitten is a defensive center. Casey Mittelstadt is the exact opposite of that. And he's not, the other thing, again, is it's like, we talk about his offense. It's not like that's anything special. He hasn't created a goal. I mean, he scored 2 goals, but he hasn't assisted a goal this year. He doesn't drive play. So can you just stick him on the wing? Like, Zacha's clearly the better option at center, which is crazy. But like, can you even stick him on the wing at this point?
I mean, I think Sturm is trying to do everything he can, so I could see that coming in the future. I mean, we've already done so much shuffling where I wouldn't rule out anything like that. I think Sturm's going to do whatever he can do to try to get a spark in this guy, and moving him to wing could be the next option. But yeah, it's not looking good so far, and it's not what you want from someone making $6 million a year. But you gotta hope he turns it around, because whether you like him or not, if you want him off the team or on the team, he's got to provide some value to other teams. And maybe some team does play the deadline tax for him. You never know. There could be a desperate team that, I mean, the Sabres wanted him, then the Bruins wanted him. Maybe they could take advantage of, maybe a Sweeney could pull off another nice trade. But yeah, right now it's not looking too good.
Yeah. And I think we all agreed at the time, even in our preseason episode, we said this, like, that trade in the Bruins' mind was Charlie Coyle for Will Zellers. And Colorado said, actually, you got to take this guy too. We don't have any prospects. Will Zellers is our only one. So if we're giving you him, you got to take on Casey Mittelstadt. They're like, fuck, fine. It will help the tank, but the dude is absolutely useless. I mean, he's totally useless at this point. And at least you didn't extend him like Henry Jokiharju, who was also useless. But you're going to need Will Zellers to actually be a goal scorer in the NHL for that deal to look good, which the kid's got plenty of promise, but we're a long way from that. He's 19. He's only played in the USHL. He's just started at North Dakota. He's got a goal there, but like, you're going to need him in the next 2 to 3 years to be a legit goal scoring player in the NHL. And I'm talking like 20 plus goals for that to feel like a good trade. But right now, Casey Mittelstadt, 6 games in, deemed not good enough to play for this team that had lost 3 games in a row in regulation leading up to it. Team that created 14 shots on goal the night before. Marco Sturm said, you know what? We just can't have Casey Mittelstadt out there. We can do better than Casey Mittelstadt. So, wow. Just wow at this point in the season.